This is Idiots with Opinions. Idiots may vary.
Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a raspy episode of Idiots with Opinions. My name's Tuscan. I'm joined here with my friend Todd. He's over there on the other side of my screen. I can only see him. You guys can't. That's what makes this a podcast. Todd, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I do want to apologize right off the bat to anybody listening. I am kind of getting over what was, I believe, just a mild cold. Really got to my throat, and I've been coughing a lot, so my voice is not going to be the silky smooth that you expect.
Excuses. So I've been really tired, I've had a hard life and a hard week, and I want everyone to feel bad about me instead of Tuscan's faux sickness. How was your week, Tuscan?
It's been a good week. It's we're coming up on spring break next weekend, so that means we got like a lot of midterms and stuff to get taken care of and loose ends to wrap up, that sort of thing. So you got like every professor assigning stuff at the same time and expecting you to take it all with the highest importance, which is a lot of fun for me. I'm just loving every minute of it. Got a competition we've got a deadline for. That is right before spring break, so I'm going to do a ton of work, and then I'm going to go in Vegas and just forget that I ever did anything.
I have the spring break right after you. Oh, also, I don't know if I told you this, but so I got accepted into this program. I am now going to LA next fall. So
That's cool.
Next fall. So I will be in LA instead of Chicago during season 4 probably.
Very fun.
Yes.
Lucas, nobody else will know who Lucas is, but Lucas just got into a program where he's going to New Zealand, I think, over next Christmas break.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so he should have a good time with that.
New Zealand accents.
Yeah?
Dude,
that's what gets you going, Todd?
It does get me going. It really does. I don't think there's an accent that will get me going more than Kiwi.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that, Todd. I'm so glad to hear that.
I'm sure. So, I don't know. Do you want me to jump right into it? Do you want to go first? I don't know. What should we do, Tuscan?
Well, Todd, since we're talking about the Southeast Asia, I figure I'll go ahead and jump into it. I got this story about India. Before I start, I wanted to mention, because I will forget, there's a guy named Foley. I don't know if you've ever met him. I think I sent a Snapchat of him to you last night. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I can't quite remember. Anyway, we were playing Foley in beer pong last night, and if he beat me, he told me to mention him on the podcast. So I've done that, Foley. You're welcome. We're going to India. All right. Todd, there are parrots in India?
Parrots, yes.
Yeah, they're all over. They're all over the place like a plague, Todd. They're coming down. They're descending like Alfred Hitchcock movies, all right? They're coming down because they're addicted to opium. And in India, farmers grow poppy, sometimes for opium, sometimes for legitimate business practices, right? So they say that since they've had a season of uneven rainfall, these parrots are having like a serious effect on their yield, because they're addicted to opium, and they're coming down just to eat the opium plants that these farmers are making.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So there's actually like a pretty great video. I'm going to pull it up here. It's just like these parrots are freaking everywhere, man.
They were like, dude, I know a place where we can have a good time. And he's like, don't tell anybody about it.
I mean, you picture, like, what are these parrots up to once they get this opiate high? That's what kills so many Americans every year, Todd, is the opioid crisis here in the United States. These parrots are just up there.
Opioid crisis within the parrots.
Yeah. They're just up there, like, flying in circles, falling right out of the sky. That's the real opioid crisis.
They're falling out of the sky. Yeah, what exactly does opium do to you?
Well, it kills your pain.
I just know that well, yeah.
It is a painkiller, and I think it just makes you stupid and lazy.
Like everything else.
Yeah, I think it's much like marijuana, where it affects people kind of differently, but most people just kind of like sit back and pass out and like their eyes glaze over.
I just think of like an ancient Chinese man sucking through an opium pipe of some sort. I don't know how you intake, but then he just sits back and he's just been playing chess.
Yeah.
Because that's where it was invented, I think.
I think it was India, but you're close.
Yeah. I was thinking of India because you were saying India. Sorry. I'm stupid.
No, there's and the guy in your imagination also looks like a very, very racist turn of the century like political cartoon about the Chinese invading America.
No.
All right. Go ahead with your stupid story.
Oh, before I forget, I do need to say that there was some fake news that may or may not have been released on this podcast last week. I said, what was the city? I should have had this ready. Las Cruces, I think. And I said that it was in Texas, where it is instead, I think, in New Mexico.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But everything else was the same.
Man, all those New Mexican fans, they're gonna just crucify us.
The New Mexican fans?
Kill us. Yeah, the New Mexican fans. They're coming after us.
They're probably more mad because now they know that the story was in their home turf.
What was that story again?
It was a story about the dog shooting its owner and then 2 weeks later getting shot.
Yeah, that is sad.
Yes,
it's a depressing story. Anyway, but this
I have an uplifting
thing.
story for the end of the episode. So stay tuned, and you'll have a happy animal story.
This parakeet thing, man, is so weird. They've got like all these growers upset about the parrot problem, and I really don't think it's actually legal to shoot parrots there either, because they're like so you can't like go out on your lawn with a 12 gauge shotgun and take care of the parrot problem yourself. You just had to let them eat your opium and then go fly around in circles because they're high, Todd. Just like go back to the
gotta
nest
watch
and
them.
pass out.
Wow, I feel like parrots are a lot more ubiquitous than like the bald eagle or something like that. Are they running extinct, or are they endangered?
You know, Todd, that's not research I did.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for asking the questions that are just too hard for the old Tuscan to comprehend.
Yep. I'd look it up on my computer, but I don't want to ask any more of it right now than I have to, because for the outside listener, my computer has crashed upwards of a dozen times since we started recording this podcast. So we've had to like stop what we're saying, hold that thought, wait for my computer to reboot. Just it's been a freaking nightmare. So let's get this.
Hey, on the bright side, you haven't lost anything yet, right?
That's
Knock
true.
on wood.
Yeah. No, every time my computer crashes, the Adobe Audition like auto saves what I've been recording. So that's nice. Hopefully we still have a cohesive podcast here by the end of the day. Because zooey mama, this is a nightmare. It's a cluster cuss, Todd.
It's a cluster cuss. So I'll just go right into my story before your computer crashes once more.
Thank you.
So I have two kind of small stories, and they're not really that related, but I thought they were both interesting, but they were both just a little slow or a little small. So first and foremost, there is this man. This one's a little bit longer. This man who goes by the name Alex Taylor, because that's when he was born. That's the name he was given. With. Yes. He's 49. Mm-hmm. And he was pulling people over and saying he was a Drug Enforcement Administration agent.
Okay, gotcha. He was
and narc. He had been pulling over many, many people. He had a Volkswagen Jetta outfitted with police-style lighting.
Nice.
And he kept, just pulling people over. He had a counterfeit seal of an agency of the United States. just around his neck, but he would wear it like DEA style, in the middle.
Agency of the United States.
Yeah.
That's all it said.
No, it was like a DEA,
just an actual false DEA.
Yeah,
badge.
but it was just like a counterfeit one. And so he also had like a concealed weapons badge, a pair of handcuffs, and a small amount of methamphetamine.
Oh, solid.
Yeah. And he pulled somebody over on Christmas Eve. It was this woman. She was on her way to Massachusetts, and she said, "Oh, you're in the DEA, huh?" And he said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Since when has the DEA made vehicle stops?" And he said, "All the time."
All the time, yeah.
And it turns out that this lady was an officer of the law.
She was actually a DEA agent herself.
She wasn't a DEA agent, but she knew people in the DEA, and she said, who do you know in the DEA?
Who do you know here?
What office did you work?
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I've worked all over."
Uh-huh.
And then she said, "Well, I'm a federal agent," and told him he couldn't write a ticket.
As a matter of fact.
He said, "Have a nice day," and he drove off.
Good.
And she did not write his license plate number down, but he was on the radar. And then eventually somebody else reported him. There was a time where he said he pulled like a truck driver over, and he said, "Do you want to die today?"
Oh my God. What?
Yeah, so this man, a little crazy.
Yeah, like solid power trip going on.
Yeah. I guess.
Die today. So far.
Yeah. So he had meth on him. So maybe that was.
Yeah. Yeah, he was probably in like a meth induced. He probably thought he was a DEA agent. Like he probably watched Breaking Bad, and he's like, "What if I was Jesse Pinkman and Hank Schrader?
I could be both, because then I could stop people from doing drugs, but I could also do drugs.
I could be high, and I could go and pull people over and steal their meth and then get higher." That's probably what he was doing, honestly.
it.
He was probably just like confiscating people's drug supplies, and they didn't report him because he let him go without a ticket.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Ooh, that was close,"
But that's also illegal.
Yeah, exactly. Most of what he was doing was illegal. The only thing he wasn't doing that's illegal is driving a Volkswagen Jetta. Not a sponsor, but
no,
but
even
also
that,
my car.
because it was outfitted with police-style lighting, so even that is illegal,
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but just driving the car is fine. It's when you start like turning on the siren and pulling people over that you become a problem.
Yep.
Was it like one of those magnet ones that you put on the roof from the like the 80s movies, or was it?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
That was always my favorite, when they're like parked at a coffee shop or something like that, and the bad guy like drives by at high speed, and they're like, "It's time to go," and then the other guy goes, "I'm getting too old for this," and they take the light and they put it on top of the hood or on top of the roof. Isn't that it's just a trope? And then they're peeling out. They end up catching the guy even though he drove by like 2 minutes prior. Like, I don't know how these things
And they're
work.
getting too old for this.
Yeah. Yep. One of my favorite things first of all, one of the best chase scenes or driving scenes, almost all the best driving scenes I've ever seen came from Baby Driver, which was a really fun movie to watch. Just like, and one of the coolest parts is they take that opening scene where spoiler alert, it's about bank robbers. So they rob a bank and
It's in the first scene, yeah.
Yeah, and they drive all through Atlanta. And I can't remember, I think it might have been Vox on YouTube did a comparison between the shots you see in the movie, and they did a side-by-side in real time with a map of Atlanta, like downtown Atlanta where they were driving. And it's really fun to watch because
It is.
Because Todd and I spent all summer in Atlanta, so you can like recognize where they are and kind of trace it.
Did you know they're making a Baby Driver 2?
Yes, I did hear about that, and I'm quite excited.
I am quite excited as well.
What do they call that boy? Is his name Ansel? Ansel Elgort.
Ansel Elgort, Ansel and Gretel.
I'm gonna call him Ansel still because
Ansel.
it's America and I can say what I want, and that's how.
That's right, Tuscan.
Speaking of America, Todd, let's talk about the now year and a half long absolute craze over the video game Fortnite. People love it. People can't get enough of it. It has captured the youth of America by storm, being a free game that anyone can play at any time for any length of time. But they have these like microtransactions, right, which make them rich. Anyway, that's beside the point. We've got a middle school teacher, right? And he's a PE teacher.
I don't believe it.
And if you remember our experiences in PE, Todd, when we had Mr. Graver freshman year, you will also remember that we were some of the most poorly behaved kids in that class.
I mean, all throughout school.
And just physical education can get pretty dull, and it kind of feels like a free period anyway. So getting people to listen is hard. And this gym teacher was having the same problem, right? So turns out he offered an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old in his class to play Fortnite with them if they would sit down and behave themselves. And it turns out they did, and they must have behaved well enough because he did play Fortnite with these kids. Well then, Todd, in classic fashion, some people overreacted that a grown man was playing video games with children. They thought it had pedophile written all over it, and he got fired.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know, right? He was just trying to be
Not even a slap on the wrist?
Well, here's the deal. He had 3 disciplinary letters unrelated to the game of Fortnite prior. The first letter was for spinning a girl in one of his PE classes, which I don't know what that means. If it's like you're dancing, like you hold their hand and you spin them, or if you like lifted them up bodily and like spun them about the room. I'm not sure like what we're talking here.
He put them on one of those little stupid like boards that you would crab walk in.
Yeah.
And he would just spin. How do you like this?
So I don't know what that was a disciplinary letter about. I would guess it's like the dance move because that seems kind of like creepy.
Yeah.
The second was for accepting a hug from a student, which again, I don't know the context and I don't know what happened, but I'm picturing like a middle school student who like wants a hug and is just happy to see you, and they try to give you a hug. Like, what do you as the adult do? Because you can't like initiate a hug with a kid. That's kind of creepy. But if they're asking for one, you can't like turn them down because that just seems mean. They don't understand why they can't have a hug. It's so innocent and
Is
nice.
that? Yeah, because I remember like giving hugs to teachers. Obviously, I was the one inciting it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, right. Like that I think is fine.
that's fine.
I don't know that I ever hugged any teachers, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a hugger. The third is what was for saying he wanted to adopt a student, which
Wow, this seems like a strict school. So
yeah, for real.
honestly,
like they were watching him.
Yeah, maybe.
It's in
Because the adopting the student, that was probably like somebody, someone, one of his students reported that. I'm sure.
Right.
Same with everything else.
Yeah, no, that must be what happened, or something like that. I mean, if he's getting this many things like actually reported, there must be some sort of notion that people are uncomfortable with the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe he did.
Or
deserve
if it's
it.
not, like giving him the benefit of the doubt. If it's not, that just really sucks. Because
it does. Because all of these things taken out of context, like they don't seem like big deals, but I bet if you like knew the guy and found out he had been kind of doing this stuff, it's kind of one of those things. It unfortunately, a lot of it depends, like people's outside perceptions depend on kind of what you look like. Like if you look like a creep, then they'll be like, oh, he was hugging a student, that's creepy, that's gonna be a strike against him, you know.
Yeah,
but if
he was just like ripped and awesome and great,
just like the most charismatic looking guy that everybody loves, he would never have gotten anything reported. I
don't know if I want to get into this, but I think that's also the reason why it's like different for women as well, like like with pedophilia, because there are like female pedophiles, but it goes under the radar. I don't know if you've ever watched. I don't know if you've ever watched or will ever watch. I don't recommend it. The show Riverdale. It's an awful show. Absolutely poorly written. The aesthetics are cool, but it's just all around everything else is awful.
Okay.
Sorry for all the fans that enjoy Riverdale, but I've been doing a commentary with a friend of mine of this first season, and in the first season, there's a huge plot line of this teacher, this female teacher that is having sexual relations with a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
Guy. And when it comes out to like their parents, to the kids' parents, they're all mad at him. And they're like,
seriously?
Yeah, it's like so poorly written. And it's like, wow, this is
not woke at all, guys.
No, well, it's supposed to be like, you can see all the ways that they try and be super progressive and stuff, and it's honestly really annoying. But it's just like, if this is the way that it's being portrayed on Riverdale, it's like, I hate that because they're still pedophiles. Even a nice charismatic man, if he is,
if like he had any ill intent in spinning your daughter or accepting a hug from one of his students, or trying to get little boys to hang out with him by playing Fortnite with him, that's a problem no matter what he looks like, for darn sure.
Yeah. Or at least just like, let's look into it,
Right. But so many of those things, like think about Mr. Lambert.
Yeah.
If Mr. Lambert had done any of those things, I mean, we've both hugged him. I mean, there's like a picture out there of us kissing Mrs. Bile.
On the cheek. On the cheek.
There's he would play Call of Duty with us.
Yeah.
And he loved it.
Yeah.
And when we'd go stay at a hotel for show choir, he'd always come and play Call of Duty with us.
And he had no ill intent. I can definitely speak to that.
To that, like, we knew him very well in high school. We spent a lot of time with the choir director in high school, just because we spent a lot of time in choir.
Yeah.
Don't look into that too far. I'm not meaning to imply anything, but he did all of those things, right?
Yeah.
He would accept hugs. He probably spun somebody once or twice.
I don't know if he spun anybody, because he's probably afraid of that.
Yeah, no,
he was definitely more careful around girls, because he didn't want any of that.
Absolutely. But when you're dealing with like high school guys and they're just being high school guys around you, like, you can kind of relax, because they're not, Anyway, but yeah, he was like a great upstanding member of our society, and everybody loved him. So it once again, it kind of comes to, who do you know here?
Also, I guess it all comes down to appearance and judgment. And so if you're wanting to be successful and get the benefit of the doubt, work on your appearance. Work on how to build your brand, your personal brand.
That's right.
And like many people all over the world, some people like to build the brand of nonconformists in the style of hipsters. Mm-hmm. Tuscan, what do you think of when you hear the word hipster? What kind of person do you envision?
You ever seen pictures of Coachella?
You think Coachella is hipster?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's the look of the mainstream hipster.
The mainstream hipster. Think of like a guy.
Yeah.
What do you?
He's wearing
tell
jeans
me what you
and
see.
A flannel. He's probably got some like horn-rimmed glasses on. They're like a tortoise color. He's got an undercut, and the top's kind of almost too long. He's got 5 o'clock shadow, but not quite a beard, and he's wearing expensive boots.
All right. So but
the expensive boots look cheap. That's the thing. He spent a lot of money on some shitty looking boots because that's how he rolls.
So there is some article that was published by the MIT Technology Review.
Yeah.
Posted a picture in their article of the countercultural statement, and it was like hipsters. It was about how the article was about how hipsters or nonconformists kind of look the same. And this guy got really mad because he was like, they used a picture of me and they didn't ask me. Like, this is me. And the people who published the article looked into it. They went into the stock images that they got it from. And it turns out that the guy that accused them of using a picture of him without asking had confused himself with this person in the picture. And it's not even the same guy. It was somebody else.
They're all the same.
So he was like, we don't look the same. You took a picture of me without my permission.
Christ.
But he just looks so similar to this person that he thought it was him.
Yep. Very nice. Yeah,
Isn't
they're all
that
just
ridiculous?
a stereotype. Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous. No, they're all just so freaking stereotypical, man. You can pick them out anywhere. Like, you all know the guys who have a lot of money, but they kind of go around the world thinking they're like, it's like, I saw something somewhere. It was like poverty chic or something like that. Like that they like to have these like cheap experiences, and they like to play themselves as this broke college kid, but they're actually like financing these super expensive vacations and stuff all over the world. And I'm like, oh my God, why?
Well, this is what I was talking about earlier. With just people get so angry about everything else, especially when it comes to being put in groups. I mean, I know I do, but people like to follow this. They like to follow these groups anyway. Like, they follow the hype of certain groups, and then they get mad that they're being categorized into that group.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, why don't you just be yourself? Be your own group.
Make your own style. Start your own group. Be a trendsetter. Don't be a follower.
Yeah.
Don't be a sheep. You gotta form opinions for yourself. You know who is the best at forming opinions for himself, but is also the king of the modern day poverty.
Before you talk about that, I really want to, because I did promise that I was gonna touch on this story. I know that I have done 3 stories now.
That's right.
I did say that I was gonna touch on this.
Go ahead.
Uplifting story about a dog.
I'm all ears.
Or an animal, but it is a dog.
Okay.
So there was this dog named Mira, that was a stray dog that befriended like this mountaineering expedition going to a Himalayan peak that was 23,389 feet.
Okay,
and
that's like 4 miles.
Yeah, he just like started following these people that were climbing this mountain, and it was just like, having a good time. And it actually like went up to the top of the summit, which they are guessing that it was a canine first to be that high.
Really?
And this animal, it almost seemed like it had done it before because it was so comfortable. And it like ran to the top before a lot of the climbers and just kind of waited for them there. Yeah, it's really cute. And
did they like bring him back and adopt him, or did they?
Yeah. One of the climbers actually adopted him, or adopted her.
Her Mira. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, Kaji Sherpa. It was a manager at the expedition's base camp. So he ended up adopting her. But yeah, it's just fun.
Now they got this great mountain dog.
It was just like a stray dog that ended up going to the top of this Himalayan summit. So
thanks for sharing that, cool. Todd. That lifted my spirits. I feel better now about dogs.
Good.
And the guy I was talking about a minute ago, his name's Carl Westberg. He is the king of hipsters nationwide.
That's true.
He owns a pair of Warby Parker eyeglasses. They have just glass lenses. He has no prescription in them. Yeah, he's a true to heart. Just wants to be part of the crowd, and he's the sponsor of today's episode. Just bringing it all home, being a kind man overall. If you want to know more about anything we talked about, Google's your friend. Don't go to Bing unless you're, I don't know, not cultured. Like what? Who's using Bing? Why?
Who's using Yahoo?
Yeah, that's my question. Yahoo.
If you're gonna use Yahoo or Bing, use Bing. But like,
I still know people
don't use Bing. Use Google.
I still know people with like Y-mail addresses. It's like if you send us an email over at studiosvolatile@gmail.com and your email address has a Y-mail address, I will not read it. Just so you know, get yourself a Gmail. Okay. And finally, if you want to check us out on the social meds, we're posting some dank memes left and right all the time. We're super good about posting just constantly.
But we're not going to blow up your feed.
Nope, we're going to blow up your feed. It's going to be all recycled SpongeBob memes. That's our specialty.
No.
If you want to see all of those memes that Todd will be posting this week, check them out at what are we called? Idiotic Opinions on Instagram. We're called Opinions That Suck, SUK, on Twitter. Todd, you got anything else for the idiots out there?
I just want to thank the idiots once again for sticking through. Thanks for supporting us on our journey to be the only podcast on the internet.
That's right.
We want to get so big and then make sure that no one listens to any other podcasts.
That's right. And
we're the best.
Thanks once again for dealing with my computer difficulties today. If the podcast sounds weird,
you're welcome.
Because
I'm the only one that's going to have to deal with that. It's going to be me,
yeah.
And you don't ever give me any apologies. You always want to apologize to the people listening, and I just want to be heard, Tuscan. I want you to notice me.
You've been listening to Idiots with Opinions. Tune in next week